Yeah, the merger that Lionsgate is, they're coming to Georgia. I'm not excited about it. It's like because let's be very honest. Let's be very honest with this merger. Okay? Um, thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. And man, um, I thought it would be good for me to talk about this since I am in the film business. But me and one of my, I would say filmmaking friends, we were talking on Facebook about the typical Hollywood movies, the typical Hollywood films, the typical movies that these studios are bringing out. Thumbs up, like, share, subscribe. I'm lawyer Henderson. Welcome to the Lawyers and Podcast Show. That brings me to Lionsgate, because Lionsgate, just like all of these other, let's say, how can I say this without talking about white folks? Well, here's the thing. Okay, we've been, shooting films, of course, here in Georgia, but the white filmmakers, they get like a lot of uh, financial institutions that back them up. They get investment bankers, okay, and they get a lot of the government. And this is what I'm going to talk about today, because Georgia has been given so much tax credit to outside film studios. And it has been allowing other outsiders, not the aspiring film producers in Georgia, but been allowing other outsiders to tiptoe in the backyard and to step over the black film independent filmmaker like myself. And you might say, well, are you mad about that? You damn right I'm mad about that. To give tax credit to people from out of state, that's just like the illegals coming over here getting free stuff that they're not entitled to. See, everybody wants to come close to the black man, but they don't want the black man to share in the profits of their success. And the movie business is one of the biggest example of that truth. Okay? We know that Georgia was always number one for music. That's a given. But also sit back, and in 2004, prior to moving to Georgia, also knew that Georgia was going to be a huge movie conglomerate. And when we looked at the idea that we can start back into the 1990s, okay, thumbs up, thumbs up. We start back in the 1990s. Remember, we had great movies go to the theaters, great films going to the theaters, man. We had, John Singleton who did Boys in the Hood. We had John Singleton do Poetic Justice. And those were the days where you basically had a reason to take your girlfriend to the movies to get popcorn and stuff like that, because you were watching a black movie that you seen on the big screen. We had Ice Cube do Friday, where you can go and watch Friday. And we went to the movies and saw New Line Cinema do Friday. What is it now? It's that now in 2023, and after all of the smoke that had cleared from the 90s, we get now just the same gatekeepers popping out the same stuff now. Now I'm going to read this article from AJC, and we'll discuss, fam. That's about how these movie studios, of course, are all now moving to the South and out of California. Okay. They're not moving out of California. They want to expand to the South. Okay. And there's a reason that they're doing that. Okay. They could have went in any other state, but they're going to move to the South, specifically Georgia, where they know a lot of black people and urban people. Of course, the black man being the biggest promoter of the world, they're sneaking in the back door to make films and make profit off of us. We'll explain here. But we have to read the article first. And this is by Rodney Ho, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. I'm thinking that Rodney here is Chinese or Asian. This article came out in March the 16th, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. It says that here, I quote, that major Hollywood production studio Lionsgate is going to be the lead tenant at a new Douglas County film and TV complex. Now, remind you, Douglas County is a racist county. But it's going to, of course, the filmmakers are going to basically be anywhere here in Atlanta. It's just that they want the studio, the complex, that they found one in this racist town of Douglas County, Georgia. You know, because you know how white folks do it. They don't want to be around you, but they want to make money off you. And here's, we'll go into talking about it. The Atlanta Business Chronicle broke the news Wednesday, and a Lionsgate spokesman confirmed with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution that the information was accurate. The story doesn't say how much space Lionsgate will lease or the duration of the deal, and the spokesman declined to provide any more details, end quote. Now, here's the thing. Lionsgate may not stay in Georgia if they do not make the profits that they want to make, because of course Lionsgate is not a studio that has like an actual studio thing. It basically just have a lot of offices. It's not like Paramount that has an actual real studio where you got you know, well, you might say it does because they're breaking sound stages. So, but it used to be just an office space, especially when I visit California, Culver City. I didn't know that those studios may have had, well, the inside may have had spaces like sound stages, okay? And they may have. I didn't, you know, I didn't go inside there. But it goes on to say that these were the company that produced films in Atlanta in 2012. What to expect when you're expecting in 2017, All Eyes on Me, in 2018, Uncle Drew, okay? And these were the films that pushed Lionsgate into the urban market. Now, Lionsgate is kind of like New Line. It's kind of like New Line Cinema's big brother of movies. And one of the things that New Line did is that it worked with a lot of Black film producers. Now, I'm not going to say that Lionsgate has not but most of Lionsgate acquisitions have came from other production entities. Like for instance, Lionsgate have acquired Code Black Entertainment that Jeff is Clanagan. I think I said his name right. Jeff Clanagan, him and his brother or somebody, they formed Code Black Entertainment. Then you had Lionsgate acquire Summit Entertainment as well. Okay. So it was not just direct deals like Lionsgate did with Tyler Perry. It was more of that Lionsgate did these acquisitions that helped them to grow a huge library of Black movies, you see. But it goes on to write that the company will lease space in partnership with Great Point Studios, a media-focused investment fund specializing in film and television infrastructure, which have worked with Lionsgate on studio space in New York and New Jersey. So this is what I mean when we talk about these white boys when they get these investment funds, where they're able to raise money, and a typical Black person cannot raise this money because white boys, they got these investment funds. They got these venture capitalists, okay? They got all of these other types of backing. And then on top of that, they got the government helping them with tax incentives and tax credits. It goes on to say here that according to the Holder Properties, Great Point Studios will be 40 acres and a 160 million film and television production facility, with the first stages scheduled to open in late 2023. It would have 11 sound stages and 480,000 square foot of capacity. You see, like I said, these white boys like to come back on the back end of Black culture. Now, like I told you, Lionsgate, with the exception of going to New York and New Jersey, okay, all of these cities are urbanized. Well, the states. When you talk there about New York, which is New York City, is urbanized. New Jersey is urbanized. And you're talking also about Georgia, which of course, as you know, is urbanized. Now, the fact that Lionsgate is going to go to Douglas County, that doesn't mean anything. They're going to just drive to Atlanta, to produce their film. Goes on to say, and here's what I was really trying to get you to understand, and this is what me and my other filmmaker buddies was talking about on Facebook, that this is part of a massive growth in studios in Georgia, okay, which I told you that was going to happen way in 2004, that the studios are going to start trying to come to Georgia because you have a Black apparatus that is not only good in promoting movies, but they're also good in promoting films. And I told you that white folks like to come in and they know that Black people just want to be seen, want to be heard, want to be famous, want to be on the big screen. So they come into the back doors and they'll make money off of you. The bottom line is this: Lionsgate has gotten help by the government. Here's what we know right here. This section is going to tell us the truth. This is part of a massive growth in studio in Georgia, which has very generous tax credits to draw big-name Hollywood production companies to shoot here. See, this is what I've been telling you. These politicians have been giving tax credit to the movie studios to put them over top than the average, typical, struggling filmmaker, you see. It goes on to say in the article that a film studio just opened in Athens. Electric Owl Studio near the Indian Creek MARTA station is set to open later this year, and so is Gray Television's Assembly Studio in Doraville. This isn't the first long-term deal a major production company has signed with the locally owned studio operator. NBC Universal, which owns NBC, Bravo, USA Network, and Peacock streaming service, will oversees Gray's Assembly Studio once it opened in June, producing not only its own films and TV shows, but also leasing remaining space to other firms. Companies like Netflix and Apple TV has signed a shorter-term deals in the past with local studios. Only one Hollywood company, AMC, has purchased studio space in Metro Atlanta outright. Riverwood Studios in Sonoya in 2017. And then Great Point Studios will be a part of the Trails, a $350 million mixed-use development in Douglas County with plans for housing, a hotel, and retail space. Okay. Yeah, that Rodney Ho, he is kind of Asian Chinese there. All right. So we know Lionsgate is what Lionsgate is trying to do. It's trying to knock off the competition from these other white boys who are sitting in the studio. See, here's the problem, though. Let's look at the problem. Right? Like I said earlier, these folks can go to any other state in which Lionsgate had claimed it did, but they're coming to the South, like I said, because Black folks be basically promoting stuff. Okay. Very, very good. And let me just tell you this, though. Everybody wants to basically make money off the Black man, but they don't want us participating in the profits. And so here's the thing. See, this is what I'm not excited about. Thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. And of course I'm not excited. Here's the thing. African-American moviegoers wants to go back to the movies after the pandemic. They want to go see films. The problem that they're having, though, is that they're not basically bringing out films that we actually want to see anymore. They're bringing out films. They're bringing out some crazy movies now that got Black folks in it. Now, I would say, of course, that Creed, like, is typical because it involves boxing and stuff. And we already seen the Muhammad Ali film. So that's going to be pretty redundant if you're talking about a boxing film. But we've been seeing these stupid comedies. And we can put Tyler Perry over the side for a minute. But we've been seeing these stupid films and dark comedies go. But even in a sense, when you see a Black movie go into theaters, you see that it always, most of the time, would make number one at the box office. Even with also now we're understanding a Black female cast, which we saw with Girls Trip. And I think The Woman King, I didn't look at the numbers on that, but I know that Black Panther, of course, which is one of the highest gross movies for Marvel, did excellent at the box office. So for Lionsgate and the other gatekeepers to sit there and say that a Black movie cannot make it at the box office with an all-Black cast is ridiculous. See, we will start going back to the theaters if these white boys and these white women who's in these offices not knowing what the hell they're doing, okay? And so therefore, I would have hoped that Warner Brothers would have given Ice Cube the rights to Friday so that he can make another Friday film. But then again, I'm getting sick and tired of comedies myself. Like I said, other filmmakers, they're tired of comedies too. We're over there talking about on Facebook, the typical Hollywood movies that have been made, the typical. And like I said, back in 1990s, we had movies that was worth going to see. We had John Singleton. He gave us Boys in the Hood. He gave us Poetic Justice. Okay, we had films like gang related. We had movies that made you want to go out there to see the action, to see the drama. We just didn't have these Black comedies that we got right now. That's just basically saying, oh my God, why do I want to come and watch this? If it's not about some, Black folks acting a fool on the big screen or it's some film about some black dude who's trying to get out the dope game and he's now becoming a rapper. If it's not that, then we see the typical Hollywood films or the remakes about some white man trying to clear his name and save the day at the end. It's come on, man. See, here's what the white boys will do. See, they just don't like a black film going to the theaters and making a lot of money. They're so racist on that end that they know that, see, they can have, studio knows that they can have, 5 or 6 movies that will gross, let's say $500 million, $500 million, I should say, I'm sorry, $500 million, right? All they need is 5 movies that could gross $500 million, right? 5. The rest of the films could be flops. They could be not flops, but they could just make a minimum in the theaters or on DVD or on streaming platforms. When you talk about a commercialized movie, these investment bankers are the one that finance the bigger budgets. It's just that the company already have liquidity in their cash flow. So when it says, for instance, Lionsgate is going to basically fund the studio with $160 million, keep in mind that that is only for them to build a studio, but some of that money is going to go into hiring people, and some of that liquidity cash is also going to most likely go into a budget of producing some films here and there. They recognize they can come among black folks and they can do what Will Packer and Rob Hardy did, Rainforest Films, that got them a relationship with Screamstem and make a movie with $500,000 or $1 million. Okay, so these white boys in these studios know that they can be so racist that they can turn away a black filmmaker like myself, and they can go on and say, hey, we don't care if we have a flop. We don't care how many films that goes to DVD that doesn't make more money. We're not going to give no real movie deal to no niggers, unless we can see that you all can bring in an audience. And that's what Tyler did. So you have to show yourself in order to make a deal with these people. And then Netflix, which is also another gatekeeper, has proved to these studios that I don't need a studio. Okay, I can be a streaming service and outdo you as well, and that's what Netflix is basically has done. It has outgrown the studios so badly that they want to cut deals with Netflix now, and they didn't have to take a single film. I don't think Netflix have yet taken a single film, and they may have. They may have co-produced a film that went to theaters or what have you. But here's the thing about what we have to understand about black people. We got to start supporting the fact that there's filmmakers like myself who's willing to change the game here. And I hope Lionsgate is watching my video, because I want to tell them that for decades, not just them, but the typical Hollywood studios for decades have been shoving out this garbage. You understand? They've been shoving out these dark comedies or these black comedies that people are sick and tired of. It's the same typical Hollywood movies. It's the same journal. It's the same kind of, just not the journal, but the same kind of movies that we already know what's going to happen here. I would argue that if Lionsgate, which is getting closer to understanding, okay, hopefully that the CEO and the vice chairman, Michael Burns and John Feltheimer, who have been running Lionsgate for almost 3 decades now, hopefully they could basically understand that each studio needs a few black filmmaker directors, you see. You can't just cut off a black film studio filmmaker and expect you to do good because you're still going to have to get movie, bodies in the seats, okay? Because a lot of black folks and a lot of Latinos, they will come out to see a real urban movie if they could find one that basically was doing that, but then it fell off because they want to keep it true to their gatekeepers. They want to tell these white boys, the shareholders, oh yeah, we're not going to support all these niggers. We were just getting a lot of money from Tyler Perry and Uncle Drew films, and we were getting a lot of money from other types of films that these black directors have done. And we're going to go back and make these crappy films that we white boys and white women do. You see, that is what the Hollywood business is doing. This lie, as I said earlier, to claim that a black film cannot carry a box office hit is a huge, huge lie. How can you believe that, as I said earlier, when Black Panther bought Marvel $1 billion? How can you believe that when Creed 3 had opened up #1 at the box office? How can you believe that when Jordan Peele's movie Get Out and all the other black film directors that we've seen, that when they had worked with a studio and had taken the film to the movie theaters, it had grossed millions of dollars. Ice Cube with Friday. Warner Brothers is still setting up on the rights of the movie and refusing to allow him to shoot another one because to Warner Brothers, then that's the reason why Ice Cube lost his rights to Warner Brothers, because Warner Brothers became the owner of the film library. But we have a situation now that Lionsgate is wanting to come in the back door of the urbanized society of this new generation. Okay? And we got the same white boys who don't know a damn thing about how the old urbanized culture. See, what they think is that, okay, well, we'll put a black person, a Latino person, and a white person into a film, and that's supposed to be urbanized, and we'll keep on doing that. And that's their way of saying it's urban. That's not urban. It is the same typical films that we're used to. And so the audiences are catching on to this, and they really, really want to see a black film. That's why some independent films do very well, even if they have to screen them or go and get them from Netflix. Some crappy ideal that Hollywood have, thinking that this is supposed to be an urban film. And I think what is happening is Netflix had changed that, because a Netflix chill day or an Amazon Prime day on your Fire Stick TV, now is suitable, unless, like I said, there's a real urbanized movie that is going to bring everybody out to see it. Okay. Now, like I said, in the 90s, we had that. And rest in peace, John Singleton, who passed in 2015. John Singleton in the 90s, just like Spike Lee in the 80s did, he brought the realization of black people in the ghettos and stuff. And I think when he did Boys in the Hood, it brought people out to see that, because it had the gang affiliation at the time. He brought out, poetic justice to speak about black love. And those are the films that we're missing. See, we miss John Singleton because John Singleton was a realist. Okay, but he made a mistake, as often as black filmmakers do, when he started to go work with the bigger old time gatekeepers like Paramount Pictures. Paramount is a huge gatekeeper, and you got to be very careful. I was talking, this woman said, you got to watch out. You're going to be a lawyer if you work with Paramount. Paramount, well, you're going to be a lawyer with all of these folks, but Paramount is a huge, huge, real dangerous studio to work with. And Sony Pictures is the same way. You're going to have to really know what you're doing to work with those types of film studios, especially in Los Angeles. And that's why it's more safer to produce films here in Georgia for a Black film director than going to Los Angeles, even though you should make films in LA, but come back to Georgia, because that's what Tyler Perry did. Tyler did not keep his office in Los Angeles that long, because with the Hispanics and Latinos and what they're doing down there, I'm telling you, they on some crappy stuff when it comes to trying to impress those folks down there. They are, you know what I'm saying? They were trying to impress white folks. So when you come down here to Georgia, now it's like, okay, now the white folks want to make movies here. You got the Hispanics and Latinos, they're flooding everywhere. You got Jim Crow Joe Biden that's flooding, open the gates, and they're coming all over people. I was at the store today, and I'd never seen so many Mexicans and Latinos in my life in one specific place. And all due respect, that was not happening 5 or 10 years ago. You see what I'm saying? And so he got all of these people just flooding all into the culture, flooding all here and stuff. I mean, it's just getting out of control. And I don't mean to get off the subject. Mexicans and these Latinos and other Mexicans are not going to support Black movies. It's just something they don't do. Latinos will support Black movies if there's a Latino cast members in there. But Black people still are the biggest promoters of movies. They have always been. The Black man still is, even at the time that, he has always been America's punching bag, he is still America's most best promoter of movies and television and music, of course. The Black man still give America its personality. And you better not forget that. But now you got all these people who are moving to Georgia, and they're wanting to come around us. They're moving to the South. We thought that Black people, if we move to the South, we'll be in the same kind of society and place where there'll just be a lot of Black folks. Of course, the white people will be here. Hey, white folks, hi. But then you got all these other folks coming from other places and all of these other countries. We're like, wait, hold on. What are you white folks doing, bringing all these Mexicans, and they're emerging to the South and they're doing this. These Mexicans don't like Black movies, okay? And so now what's happening is, I'm not saying Latinos don't, I'm saying the Mexicans don't. So it's, I don't know, because what I've seen in Los Angeles, when I visit there a couple of times, Latinos have taken over Compton, they have taken over Long Beach. The Latinos are now, along with the Asians, are working together, and they're pushing Black people out of the city. They pushed them out of Compton, and now they're trying to come and push us out of Atlanta, where we have a stronghold as Black folks, okay? But we're not going to have a stronghold for long, because these people pop out children everywhere. They tell the Black man, you niggers, y'all should use condoms, and y'all should have, when you have sex with that Black woman, use a condom. You niggers are popping out babies everywhere. No. I don't need to sound racist, but Mexican people are popping out children everywhere. And so now it's like, wow, okay? So I didn't mean to go off subject, but it has something to do with now with movie studios. And I understand that Latinos wanted to come into the industry as well. But like I said, white people and Black folks still are the ones who are promoting movies that American people are going to always watch. That's going to always be something that we got together, at least with the white man, is that we could produce film projects together and it would basically, sell at the box office. You can't have a black person and a Mexican person working together because the Mexican person is already coming over from Mexico being racist towards the black person. So it's not going to work even if you can get together because number one, you got to learn Spanish and all that stuff. And then number two, people don't want to see no Mexicans on the big screen. Now, I didn't say they don't want to see a Latino on the big screen. Okay. I said Mexicans. And you might say, well, Mexicans are Latinos. But in a sense, then, we're talking about the fact that when you did Friday, for instance, they had Latinos in Friday. Okay. That brought they brought a few Latinos to watch Friday. Okay. That's an example of what I'm saying. But man, it's getting, but I think, I think that Lionsgate have to fill me on this. Okay. And if it's going to merge to our town, and even though it's going to a racist county like Douglas County, which is okay, but like I said, they're going to drive to Atlanta and produce the films anyway, so they're going to be around black folks, okay. But the ideal though that a black film doesn't sell, come on, white folks, that's a lie. Come on, white people, that is a lie. If you take 3 or 4 black movies per year, doesn't matter what studio does it, most likely 4 out of the 5, the black films are going to be number one at the box office as well. See, it's just that these white boys, these gatekeepers, have long time been lying about this issue. They've been lying, and now they know that when they did movies like the Black Panther, as I said earlier, that's just not true. Okay. But of course, I didn't want to stay on here long. I just wanted to talk about this merger with Lionsgate and how there is a changing of people coming around black folks in the South. And like I said, we thought that we would be safe as black people if we all moved to the South and try to build something together. But as you know, where black people go, there's going to be white folks, Jewish people. All of these folks are wanting to come around us to make money and promote around us to make money off of us, but they don't want to include the black man and the profits. And this, I told you, got to stop. I'm Lawyer Henderson, and that's my 2 cents, and I got to bounce.